All right, welcome to Decker's Nursery. Today we're coming to you from my backyard, where it's a time of year where we're enjoying all of the fruits of our labor from spring and previous years. The perennials are blooming, they're in full glory. The annuals are performing optimally. It's just a really nice time to be a gardener. So today we're going to talk about cutting flowers. So it's a term you may hear often and not really know what it means. So I'm really going to try and simplify it. And it's one of the things that I really enjoy doing in the summer months. It's a way that I get to connect with my garden or stay connected. I take flowers into the house and it makes me happy. And this is another way that we use perennials. So we've been talking a lot about the use of perennials in attracting pollinators and balancing our gardens, and they add different textures and more color. It's a way to complete your garden. And the other thing is we can use them as cutting flowers. And today it's a very simple process. It's something that you should do for fun. And I had a flower club this morning came in. They have competitions in gathering flowers throughout your garden and creating different arrangements. So there's no right or wrong, and this is something that you can make it out to be whatever makes you happy. And so the first thing you're going to want to do is select some vessels. So these are like bud vases that we keep in the store for single flowers and pretty vase arrangement here, unique little boot. So there's a lot of different vessels, and I find some pleasure in looking for unique pieces. You can also use just a standard floral vase. There's nothing wrong with using that. What I would say is when you're selecting your vessel, that's going to determine the type of flower or the length of the flower that you're going to use. So, and as you use these more, you're going to find out which ones are more suited for short height and for something to use in a taller vase. So we do have a list of perennials that are ideal as cutting flowers, and what makes it a cutting flower is it's conducive to taking it off the plant and putting it into water, that they'll continue to perform for an extended period. And you're going to find some last longer than others. So today I'm going to be working with things from my backyard. So I did a lot with Black-Eyed Susan. I have some success with Agastache. It doesn't last quite as long, but it's just such a nice piece to add, and it gives you a little bit of height. Echinacea, same thing. They don't last an extended period, but they're so pretty, I have to have them. Garden phlox, cosmos, so we talked about perennials, but annuals also work well as cutting flowers. So some of the really nice annuals are dahlias. I had cut some dahlias earlier. Snapdragon. And even sunflowers work very well as annuals for cutting flowers. Okay, so when you're harvesting or gathering the flowers you want to use a really good pair of pruners. So if you find that you're doing a lot of cutting, buy a good pair of pruners. I still use my Felcos that I've had for over 20 years. So I changed the parts, and it's a great pair of pruners. We have the pinking shears. Graham makes a really nice, handy bypass pruner. And the pinking shears that many of us are familiar with is just a simple bypass pruner that allows you to get in and make difficult cuts. So when we're gathering the flowers, I like to take a larger stem with multiple flowers, and I usually cut back to where there's another lateral branch. And this is going to give me 3 flowers for my arrangement. So take these off. And the next thing I do is I remove the leaves. So you can see I'm going to take this off here. So I have a lot of stem to work with at this point. And it's good to leave some leaves on the vase or on the stem because it helps the plant drink water. In this case, they're too far down, so it won't show well in the vase. So, you know, I'm going to determine my height. And that's a good place to start. You know, measure twice and cut once. So here I can leave a leaf on there if I want. So, and as you put them into the vase, so I'm not a floral designer, you don't have to worry about how they go together. That's something you'll play with and develop your own style over time. You know, we can add some height to this with some agastache, some more echinacea. Those are going to be too short. I gathered some sunflowers earlier. So this has a real yellow theme to it. And I always like the mason jars. They're easy to work with, very simple to put together. Right now I have water in here in the vessel up to about 2/3 of the height. When you're starting your vessel, always use a floral preservative. This is a really good product. It'll extend the life of the flowers. It prevents any algae from forming or bacteria and fungi that might compromise the performance of the plants. If you don't have preservative, you can do a homemade concoction with lemon lime soda and a dash of bleach. So a dash means it's too little to measure. So just a touch of bleach to prevent the pathogens from forming. So roses, just to talk a moment on some of the woody, the flowering shrubs that we have at this time of year. Roses are great cutting flowers, as most of us know. We see them in a lot of professional floral arrangements. So this is the Brindabella rose. This is a new shrub rose that was released this year. It's very fragrant. So as you know, like the knockout rose, everybody's familiar with. The knockout roses don't have any fragrance. This is a new knockout rose, if you will, that will fill a room with a beautiful aroma. Hydrangeas work very well. They're not going to last nearly as long as like black-eyed Susan or sunflower. But the trick with hydrangeas is to make sure you have a gathering vessel when you go to cut your plants. So as soon as I cut the hydrangeas, I put them into a container of water, like immediately. And that prolongs the life of the plant quite a bit. It'll last longer in the vessel. So another nice annual that I planted just for cutting is the amaranth. And this is very unique. In our floral department we use this, and they're hard to come by, but that gives a nice trailing effect. So amaranth is an annual that you may want to consider for your garden. So when you're selecting plants to put into your garden, one of the criteria you may want to consider in going forward is whether they're going to be suitable as a cutting flower. So I get hours and hours of enjoyment and pleasure out of producing these little arrangements. I have fun in picking out the vessels when I see them at a garage sale or something like that. And I hope this will encourage you to spend more time in your garden. Think about connecting with your garden more by taking plants into the house. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the garden.